I'm Tara.
And I'm Austin.
And we're a married couple.
And we are lovingly snarking on Hallmark's Countdown to Christmas lineup for the 2020 season.
And we are smack dab in the middle. Well, I guess not the exact middle, but we are well into this Christmas
This
season.
is the third weekend of Christmas.
And it's only November.
It's like 2020. It just goes on and on and on. But unlike 2020, it's more enjoyable.
Right. And yeah, 2020, this has already been the longest year of our lives. But we're hoping to end it on a positive note with some of these movies. And tonight's movie that we are about to sit down and watch is Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater. It is Saturday night, November. What is today's date? I don't even know. It's been like the longest week.
The
ever.
7th.
It's the 7th. And this is one of our most anticipated movies because of the potential snarkability that you can just see in the title.
It just seems naturally snarkable.
And it's starring Ashley Williams,
who I greatly enjoy.
We do like her. We haven't really seen a full-length movie with her yet. We did see a little bit of her last year in Christmas in Evergreen. There was a nod to her as being a previous character from 3 iterations of that movie ago, but we haven't seen her in a full-length movie yet. So we are very excited. We like her as a comedic actress, and we expect this to be a comedy, but we've seen a little bit of a scene with the two of them talking in the preview. So we know that she's like divorced and he's there.
Staying in her guest house.
But one thing we don't know is their jobs. And you know what? We're feeling a little bit.
It's been a long week.
It's been election week. We are still just kind of like very tired.
So Tara has built a little spinner for us that will automatically select and predict what we think their jobs or what technology thinks their jobs will be.
Right. So we have a spinner for jobs and we have a spinner for general predictions. And so instead of us giving predictions this time, because we have no clue, we're just going to let it happen. Let fate tell us what they think the predictions are, and we'll see if those are more accurate than us. So my first prediction is somebody is a teacher.
All right, teacher. Okay, I would guess that if anybody's a teacher in this movie, it's her.
Gonna be her.
And then our second job, wheels going around, and
vague PhD student.
All right, so we have a teacher and a PhD student who meet
in something we don't know.
And he gets
PhD
hit by a Christmas tree. We've seen that in the ads, and ends up staying in her guest house. So maybe he can't finish his dissertation because he has amnesia.
He's got to do the dissertation from the guest house, but we also let's make 2 predictions from our general prediction wheel.
All right.
And see if those come true. So we have all kinds of predictions on here. But the one that we're going to go with for this movie is Sleigh Ride.
Sleigh Ride. Okay.
So we're going to have a teacher and a vague PhD student, and at some point they will go on a sleigh ride.
Love it. Love everything about it.
And then what else is going to happen? Another sleigh ride.
So there will be 2 sleigh rides in this.
Let's spin that.
I want to double down on double sleigh rides.
Inviting a stranger to perform a sacred
family tradition.
Yeah, get cut off on the thing, but yes. So inviting a stranger to perform a sacred family tradition.
All right, so there we go. There are predictions brought to you by the prediction wheel. Right. So I guess we should watch and see.
Our friend is coming over. We're watching on the projector outside tonight.
Woohoo!
And we will be back when we are done. And we also are live tweeting this tonight. So this should be a fun evening. And then we'll tell you what we thought.
All right, we are back.
We are back after our fun
outdoor movie watch.
Right. There was some festivities going on in our neighborhood while we watched this evening.
Well, they called the election.
Right. And they called it this afternoon, but it was like, I think they had the speech.
Right, but since we've recorded, the election has been called.
Yes. And so it has been, everybody in the neighborhood, there was fireworks, there was all kind of stuff going on and people hooting and hollering, but we were still able to capture the heart of this movie. So we'll see if we can give you the rundown of what we thought of it, which, spoiler alert, I was really excited about this one and a little disappointed. Underwhelmed. Yeah.
Underwhelmed.
So are you going to give us
all right, so
one sentence summary?
I am always not good at doing summaries. And so Tara's going to do the longer version that gives you the full picture. But my job is to give you the succinct one-sentence summary of this movie. All right, so here I go. This movie was about a single mom teacher who sends her daughter away for Christmas and hits a man, crippling him, who is an architect and is trapped in her guest house until they fall in love. The end.
Trapped in the guest house. It sounds like it could be many, many different genres of movie here.
At Christmas?
At Christmas. Trapped in a guest house at Christmas. Okay, so I'm going to give the more robust summary, but that's a good sort of bird's eye view of what I'm about to convey here. So in this movie, we are in some mountain town. I don't know exactly where this is taking place, but we have Maggie, and she's a second grade teacher, and it is the last day of school. She is leaving the school with her daughter Ellen, who is about to finish packing to head to her father's for the holidays. It's the first time that Maggie has not spent Christmas with her daughter. And while they're walking through the park, they see a dad in a dad Christmas sweater. It has a little elf on the main part of the Christmas sweater, and then it looks like it has a giant head is his head. And they're making fun of the Christmas sweater. And as they do that, the little boy that he's watching falls off of his playground apparatus, and they all rush to make sure that he's okay, thus having our meet cute for the movie. So Maggie meets the dad. His name is Lucas. He's not actually a dad, though we don't learn that just yet. And they talk, and then they go their separate ways. The next day, we have Maggie preparing to send her daughter off, but she's also preparing for her volunteer job at the youth camp for, I guess, kids when they're off school for the Christmas holiday that are children of military people. And she's getting them a tree because they need some greenery in their community room. And she goes to get a tree, and as she's carrying it out of the Christmas tree lot, Lucas turns the corner and runs smack dab into the Christmas tree, thus landing himself in the hospital, getting surgery, and having a broken arm, canceling his ski trip to Aspen for the holidays. So feeling guilty, Maggie offers to let him stay at her guest house through the time, however long he needs, until he's feeling better. And she also invites him once he's there, because he's feeling a little bit disconnected from everything. She invites him to come help at the community center with the kids at the camp. So they are at the camp, and they are trying to figure out how to give these kids a great Christmas. They are doing gingerbread building contests, and they are trying to figure out, Lucas is trying to figure out how to build them a giant, huge gingerbread house. And Maggie is trying to figure out how to get their parents involved while they're overseas to be a part of the big Christmas dance that is the culmination of all of these activities. So they work together on that. And as they're working on that, they attend an ugly Christmas sweater with Lucas's family. And when they are at the Christmas sweater party, they have a friend that Skypes in, and whoa, excellent idea. Let's have the parents Skype in from abroad. And that will bring our children and our parents together for the big party. So when we get to the big party, everybody's having a good time. We're in our fancy dresses. We're celebrating the children. We're looking at the giant gingerbread house that Lucas has made. We're Skyping in these parents. And we have a miscommunication because Maggie overhears Lucas saying that even after they had a romantic kiss a few days before in their sleigh ride, he is going back to New York, and she realizes that he may not want to be with her. So she says her goodbyes, says, I don't think that we can be together. And he wakes up the next morning, says goodbye, and heads back to New York with his heart broken. She realizes after they exchange presents that he's given her tickets to Paris so she can continue her art career because he believes in her. She realizes that he did have feelings for her, and she had feelings for him that were very real. He realizes as he opens his bag that she got him the book that contains his father's architecture that he's always been searching for his whole life and has never been able to find. So he stops the car. He races back to Maggie's house on Christmas morning. Ellen is home with her. He turns around, or she's at the door, and they realize that it was all a misunderstanding and that they actually wanted to be together, and that he's going to stay in the town and build houses. And they all lived happily ever after the end.
Yet another wonderful summary. So let's go straight into, did our prediction wheel actually work?
It actually, surprisingly, she is a teacher.
She was a teacher.
And there were like 20, 25 jobs on our wheel. So that was pretty good.
He, however, is not a PhD student.
student.
He is an architect.
Yes.
So an architect. One for two on the wheel of jobs. Things that showed up in the movie. Sleigh ride? Does a horse-drawn carriage ride count?
Did they mention that they say it was a sleigh ride, even though it was a horse-drawn carriage ride? They called it a sleigh ride.
They said that it was grounded due to weather, so they were and he gave the reindeer a break because it was Santa. And so they were going to do an on-the-ground carriage ride.
Right. So it was a carriage, but kind of like a sleigh ride. Maybe we need to make sleigh and carriage kind of
just
the
like
same
one thing. Yeah.
And then what was the other one? I
thought it was double sleigh rides.
We did get double sleigh rides, but then we also got inviting a stranger to do a Christmas thing, which actually kind of did happen.
So I think like decorating your tree is a pretty personal thing for Christmas. And immediately the day he goes to the house after she like makes him have surgery on his wrist, the daughter's like, hey, you should come over and decorate our Christmas tree with us. And they're like, hey, can you put the topper on? You're tall. And then not only that, they have to go do the annual ugly sweater Christmas party. So it was double traditions on both sides.
Well, and he helped her redecorate the tree when she was looking at it. And she said, this doesn't really fit my style. I like a more classic tree. So they actually take everything off and they redecorate it together after Ellen is gone.
That's right.
So he helps her decorate that tree twice. So I think that instead of double sleigh rides, we actually had double traditions, double tree decorations. So yeah, so surprising. Maybe we need to rely on the wheel more often because it did a way better job than we did.
Much better. So let's go through some of our snarkable moments for this movie. And maybe some of the things we liked about it. So I want to start off by saying I enjoy Ashley Williams a lot, and I think she carried this movie. I was worried about her being a lot because sometimes she can be a lot, and she wasn't. She did a really good job. Yeah, I think that I believed the chemistry that she had for Lucas, and the relationship she had with her daughter. I thought was fantastic, but I did not feel that way about Lucas. He did not have the same, like, I just kind of felt like he was a little dippy. Yeah, he didn't seem like a strong, like, masculine type lead. I don't know. I mean, not that that's my thing, but it seems to be these movies thing. Well, and so he wasn't really holding the movie. Yeah, I think it was just something about, like, I didn't feel that, like, insta-traction that I felt like we got from her. Like, she was immediately drawn to him. And it's that whole, like, I've hurt you and now have to take care of you thing. But I just didn't get the sense that he was like falling for her. And I feel like he needed to amp up some of that romantic just in how he, like, I felt like she gave it through her eyes, right? She was like, I long for him. And he did not reciprocate with his eyes. Right. And she's enthusiastic about a lot of things, and she's a teacher, and she's like, I love going to work every day. And you could see that. And, you know, even within the context of the movie, his character is not in the best of places. You know, he's first of all having to skip his ski trip. But second of all, in Aspen, because he doesn't have an appendage. That's what they said. He's missing an appendage or use of an appendage. But, you know, he's had a rough year. He's starting to lose his passion for architecture, even though that's what he's done his whole life. Right. And he had a breakup, it sounds like, or a failed engagement or something like that. And things just aren't really going well for him. It's a little passionless in his life. And so it does make sense that he arrives that way, and he's got this broken arm and he's just kind of sad. But I never see him really fall beyond that. Yeah. He doesn't come up from that enough. But that aside, I think going back to Maggie's character and her daughter, Ellen, I thought that this was actually a really good, like, representation. I don't know that we usually get a child who's this old, like in that 11-ish to 13-ish age where it's a single parent. And I felt like they had real conversations. Like, at the end, she's like, do you like him, Mom? And she's like, well, would that be okay with you? And how hard it is to be a kid of divorce and you're with your parent and you're missing the other one, and how hard that is to balance. I mean, it was still like way too rosy for everything. Everybody was really polite, and you almost got the sense that this divorce was a little more recent than you might, but the dad has gotten remarried and they seem to be settled, and everybody seems to get along very well with the handing off of the kid. And he even brings Ellen to the party on, I think it's on Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve. And, you know, he didn't have to, and that wasn't planned, but he knew that that's what she wanted to do. So everybody seemed really polite. And even when Lucas meets the dad and the stepmom, you know, everybody's really cordial. So that worked out really well. It was a good model of
divorced parents getting along at the holidays and not stressing their kid out, I guess, in that process. So Ellen seemed pretty balanced and like happy at the holidays. So.
I think that this movie could have been more interesting so she is carrying a tree out of a Christmas tree lot. He runs into it and falls to the ground in pain. And the next scene is he's at the hospital still under anesthesia, he's not out of it yet. And I was like, oh, what if he's in a Christmas coma? And she's like talking to him, and it was so entertaining and funny. I was like, this movie would have worked if he was just asleep the whole time and then just woken up at the end. Like you know,
we're in love.
Exactly. Like that would have probably been a more enjoyable movie.
Well, I mean, let's go back to that moment where she does injure him, because I think that is probably the most snarkable part of the entire movie. That you set up this whole thing where she's got to get this Christmas tree and she's carrying it herself because she can't get anyone to help her because they're backed up, and she's just walking out. She's kind of like carrying it like under her arm almost, or like it's like coming out in front of her, and then that's when he runs into it, and that he runs into that tree just jogging.
Lightly jogging.
And breaks his arm. I guess it's because of the fall.
Wrist.
It's his wrist. And he has to have surgery on his wrist. But running into that Christmas tree landed him in the hospital overnight. Yeah. Which was pretty impressive.
I mean, it was... We replayed the fall just to kind of see, like, how fast was he going? Like, did she lean into it and swing the tree at him? And no, it was like... I mean, it looked like it probably hurt. But it was not the tree's fault. It was definitely him not looking.
It was the
fall. And him falling.
Which he could have just as easily done just from her walking out of the
she did not have anything to feel guilty about.
I don't know that the tree really did it. So, yeah. And so he's in the hospital and she's by his side waiting for him to wake up, feeling all of her guilt for all the pain that she's caused him. And she takes him to the guest house at her house. And she is a single teacher. Okay, I don't know what kind of alimony this woman is getting, what kind of family money. She has this huge, beautiful, and not even just like, I can understand having a big house because you inherited it, or maybe you got to keep it in the divorce. But the way that she has it decorated and trimmed out and the upkeep of it, like, that takes money.
It takes money. And
she doesn't seem to me like she, with the kid and everything going on as a teacher, I don't know how much she's doing that herself. Like, she's hiring people. That's money. It's not elbow grease necessarily. It's money. And she has that whole guest house in the back where he's staying.
And she's got a great wardrobe. Like, she had some of the most fantastic coats I've ever seen.
She did. There's a lovely, like, pale green one that she wears at the beginning. I want that. Like, it was such a beautiful color. And it wasn't like the bright red and bright green.
It was like a soft green.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the coats of this movie a lot. But yeah, this house is huge. You have to wonder, how is she making this money? So the logical explanation is she's getting a lot of money from the husband in terms of alimony. And we hear that he was a workaholic and he really made his business successful. So he probably is a great earner for the family and is paying that in child support and alimony and all that stuff. But
well, she might get some secondary income from the guest house, and it's part of what allows her to have this property. But she's using it as an art studio now, so she clearly doesn't need that anymore.
Right. So it's been originally a rental that so she'll rent out this guest house, and it's like got a really nice kitchen, like nicer than you would see in like a mother-in-law suite. Mm-hmm. So a little top of the line. But there is not a bed. There is a sofa bed.
She said I have a sofa bed, but it's one of the good ones, I promise, or it's not one of the bad ones. I'm like, there is no sofa bed that is good.
And it's like, if you're renting this, how are you just have like a Murphy bed or something?
I mean, are you renting it as like a lease? Or are you doing, I assumed as an Airbnb type of situation.
I mean, it has to be, right?
But even then, I'm not staying in, it's too nice for it to be an Airbnb with a sofa bed.
Right. Like, everything else feels like really upscale and nice. And then it's like, oh, and here's your bed. It's a double sofa bed.
Woohoo! But he was comfortable there. He's fine. It still kind of looked like a dismantled art studio, which I like that they kind of kept her. She didn't have a long time to get it prepared for him. So, he was just kind of hanging out in her guest house, and he
didn't really want to have anything to do with the family, but they were very much like, hey, you want to come over for dinner? You want to decorate the tree? You want to hang out?
They brought him enchiladas on a tray.
And this is why I say he was trapped, because like, where was he going to go?
Right.
He's not allowed to fly because his doctor said no.
Mm-hmm.
There were no other places to stay. This woman who's a stranger to him has offered her guest house. He can't be too rude. So he was trapped.
And he doesn't really want to impose. And you know what? What else is he going to do in that guest house? Because there's no TV.
Which is our new theory that in the Hallmark universe of movies, none of the characters own TVs.
We are on TV Watch 2020 looking for our whoever spots a TV first in a Hallmark movie wins.
Yep.
Everybody can play because there are none. And laptops and cell phones and smartphones.
Or mentioning that you watched a TV. And
Right.
I will also say a TV for like a presentation at work does not count. It needs to be a TV at your home that you would watch a Hallmark Christmas movie on.
Right, because the whole point is these people have these beautiful homes, and beautiful homes don't have televisions because televisions are eyesores. But the reality is homes have televisions because we're all watching your Hallmark movies in our homes on our televisions. Right. So let's like lean into that. That's a reality. We have them. And especially in the guest house for the poor man who's just stuck with nothing to do.
All he can do is look at her art.
He has a TV.
Well,
something to do.
He did say that he was streaming on his like laptop or something. So he does know how to watch on his device, but that does not count.
No.
So, I will say I did like the moment where they were trying to get him to come over for dinner the first night, and the mom's like, "I'm making your favorite, Ellen," which is her daughter.
And she was like, "Macaroni and cheese," and she's listing all these. She's listing
all these foods, and mom's like, "No, and then she was like, "Well, then what is it?" She's like, "Enchiladas."
Like, yeah, that is my favorite. Yep, that's one of my favorite foods. Sure, Mom.
Because Ellen was trying to help her mom like get with it, like. She wanted to have Lucas come over. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's ready for her mom to be happy.
She's ready for a new daddy.
That's right.
Are you my new daddy, Lucas?
I really enjoyed the kids in this movie in general. Yeah. Like, there's this little boy who's at the rec center where this camp is going on, and he's so forlorn all the time.
Oh, he has this curly little mop of hair, and he's always
and
like
he
running
moves
his
it.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, let me move this
crossing
out of
his legs and just looking like the world is against him.
It's so cute. Like forlorn children at Christmas
he misses
in
his
Hallmark
dad.
is cute.
He misses his daddy. He's got to brush his hair back and look sad. He's the inspiration for why they want to bring in the parents with the video chat and having them do the gingerbread houses.
Which was the video chat. So they're doing this
That's
gingerbread.
That's a snarkable moment.
God, so they're doing this gingerbread house thing at the rec center where they're building like a big gingerbread house, and they got all these free gingerbread kits, so everybody's making it where their
they were all
parents are
making
stationed.
little gingerbread houses, and they get this idea, what if we made a big gingerbread house? We'll do all the work, we promise. And they decide they can't do it out of gingerbread because it's not structurally sound.
Right.
So they're going to do it out of wood. They're going to make it a wood project because we have an architect here
who can build anything.
So he's going to help them build it.
And, but the forlorn children are like, but my dad's not here. My mom's not here.
See this.
And so they get this great idea to like have the families like build a gingerbread house away and take a picture and send it over. But suddenly inspiration strikes when they're attending Lucas's brother and wife's ugly Christmas sweater party
and white elephant party
and where they put like a reasonable limit on the amount to spend.
$10 gifts. Yeah.
I was like, good job, like being clear about the amount to spend on this. So they're at the party, but someone can't come because the babysitter called out sick. And she video chats
Hannah.
in.
Her name is Hannah.
Oh,
she got an IMDb credit.
I love that you looked her up already.
Well, I was trying to look up the other characters, and I was like, Hannah? Who's Hannah? I was like, oh, the girl on the TV.
So Hannah...
Wait, was that a TV?
Oh my God, that was a TV. How did we miss this?
We just like... Oh, there's a TV, and we missed it. And we were dumb enough to mention it.
I guess we win.
I win because I remembered it.
Oh my God. So much embarrassment is like washing over me right now.
There was a TV in their house, and it was being used for that purpose.
Right.
So I think
they must have brought it up from the basement where it's only allowed to live with.
Right. I mean, it's only there if it has the specific purpose of being used for something besides just watching television.
Right. Nobody's just
here it was
watching
for
a Christmas
Skyping
movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. So she's zooming on their TV or I don't know that it's Zoom. It could be anything because we're in a world where Zoom is not the only platform.
Called it video chat.
Right. So she's video chatting in and inspiration strikes and she goes, "Oh my gosh, Lucas, I have this great idea. We can have all of the family members that are abroad video chat in." And we were like, what?
Duh. Like, why was that?
I was like, clearly this 2020 never existed for them the way that it has for us.
Well, and they were, I think, not even actually video chatted in. I think they were just video clips of them sharing.
There was no way it was live.
Which seems like a pretty standard thing for parents abroad. Like that would be...
Right. I've seen this in lots of other Christmas movies.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I mean, I guess it was like getting it arranged in 4 days. Like they had to get these gingerbread houses to them in 4 days. And what's her face? Maggie was like, "Oh, well, the shipping is really fast for the USO stuff. And so it'll get there quickly." And so in 4 days, they got the packages because they had all these excess gingerbread house packages that were donated. That's why they were doing all this gingerbread stuff.
Right.
And then they got it all the way to Japan and Germany and wherever else these kids' families were and made the videos and made all those arrangements in 4 days.
It's a miracle.
So they did have to pull some strings to make it happen from Colonel Morrison or whatever her name was.
The Lady Commander.
Lady Commander. And I was like, Lady Commander.
I shipped the Lady Commander and Maggie's best friend.
Her name was Alyssa. Alyssa was the friend.
I was like, I wanted Alyssa.
There was a little bit of like chemistry.
She's my friend. I can call in a favor.
Oh, I know Colonel Morrison. She's my good. Yeah, I can get her to do what I want. And I was like, yeah, you can. you know her.
So, if Hallmark had wanted to pick up the gay plot line, that would have been the one to do. That would have been it.
Well, we can just insert our own gay plot line.
I think that's what we're going to do from now on is like, what's the misshipped opportunity here?
Yeah. And that was it.
That was it.
Colonel Morrison and Alyssa. You heard it here first.
So let's get to the sleigh/carriage ride because we have our Santa sighting of the movie.
Yes. I did kind of leave this out of my summary because I got to the end and I was like, oh yeah, they did kiss. And it wasn't at the end. It was 30 minutes from the end of that stupid sleigh.
So they're in this horse-drawn carriage because Maggie's upset about something and he's like, let me drive one-handed. And I was like, that seems like a liability.
Bad idea.
But whatever, they get there safely. And he's like, I'm going to take you on a magical carriage ride. And it's Santa who's the driver. And he's given some friendly banter about like, it's bad weather. So the reindeer have been released and we're grounded. So I could just take you around the square with these horses. So they're there. They're having deep conversations about what they want out of life, the passion.
And these conversations happen at this point, and I think I'm definitely seeing the pattern of you have to have this conversation, maybe one early on where you talk about your childhood and like some of your deepest, darkest things, but then you have this like moment where you finally are like opening up to each other. And this is the second one we've seen in a sleigh.
Yes. Because like when else are you going to like, you can't jump out. I mean, without getting hurt.
Right.
So,
and it's romantic.
But this is the part that I want to contend. Was it romantic? Because it bordered on creepy for me. And I love a good Santa sighting. So Santa is the driver of this carriage. They're sharing their deep thoughts. And then they go in for the kiss. And it's not a like almost kiss. It's a real kiss. It's happening. And as they kiss, Santa goes, ho, ho, ho. And then a close-up of his face. And he's just smiling like
he made it happen. That's the Santa magic. He in his head was going, now kiss.
And it's like, so he's not looking back at them, but he knows they kissed. And he's like got a twinkle in his eye.
Because he made it happen.
It was creepy.
Santa is never creepy.
Santa can be creepy if Santa is like driving you to make out with someone and knows when you're doing it. Like, I guess he is always watching.
Christmas. Yeah, he's even watching you as an adult because he has to know if you're being good or bad. And if you get Christmas this year, Austin.
Oh. Better watch out.
But kissing me is not your Christmas. But he's in part of that because that's her wish. Like their secret desire is to kiss each other.
Right.
Well, that's already happened for us. So like he's not involved. He's not making magic to make us kiss.
Like, I mean, I'm sorry. I thought it was Cupid who was the one that got relationships started, but I guess it's just Santa.
Well, Santa makes whatever your wish is happen because he's Santa. So if your wish is that you want your dad to come home from the war, then he makes it happen. If your wish is that you want an easy bake oven that you never got in your childhood, he makes it happen. If your wish is like to kiss this cute man that's next to you in the sleigh, then he makes it happen. Cupid is very specifically romantic. He's making kissing happen, but Santa just happens
Santa,
to
if
be
you're
a romantic
listening,
wish.
my wish for this evening is for you to have dinner magically appear.
Well, he only can do it on Christmas Day. He doesn't grant wishes all the time. He's not a genie.
It's also really late at night for dinner, so let me save that for tomorrow.
You can wake up on Christmas morning and find a dinner sitting underneath the tree, but he works on one day a year.
Okay.
He collects all, but that wasn't on Christmas.
That doesn't align.
My whole
Your theory is gone.
But then it's trumped because they were there with him personally.
Okay, so Santa either has to be physically in the space with you,
if he were here and you said, "I wish I had dinner on the table," then you would turn around and you would see dinner on the table.
I follow the theory now. If you were
in the sleigh and you wanted a burrito, there would be a burrito.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Okay. Okay, just a few more snarks for this movie. Yeah. So
let's go back to the ugly Christmas sweater.
Let's go back. Take us back there, Tara, because I know you have some thoughts on this one.
So he has an ugly Christmas sweater, which is more of a funny Christmas sweater.
Yeah. I want to just pause here for a second. I don't like the notion of like an ugly Christmas sweater party just being like, oh, I found a joke sweater that was intentionally marketed as a joke sweater. I think the classic ugly Christmas sweater is like the ones that your parents wore in the 90s. That
or the
weren't
ones
intended
that your
to
third
be,
grade teacher wore.
Right. Like it was not intended to be funny, but it was so busy or so like just so much that it was inherently funny. Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time with like ugly Christmas sweater parties now because I'm like, you're buying a joke sweater, so of course it's funny.
Right. So his sweater has the little elf on the front that makes it look like his head is the elf's head. Her sweater wasn't really a sweater; it was a dress, I think, or like a.
It was just like a long tunic sweater,
a tunic shirt. But the whole thing had like swirls of Christmas tree bulbs and multicolored bulbs, mm-hmm. and I thought it was really cute in a like middle-aged lady sense, like the kind of thing that teachers would wear, but not necessarily like he goes off on how hideous it is. He's like, that is an ugly sweater, but it was actually super classy looking, like ugly classy, like a little
like
bit
it didn't light
tacky. Up. But then she had a necklace on that had the lights on it that lit up.
The party isn't called Ugly Necklace Party.
It's an ugly necklace party. Everybody come. Can we have one of those?
We can absolutely have one of those.
But for in the realm of ugly sweaters, it was not the ugliest by far. So I call shenanigans on that because she's our leading lady. She has to still look nice, even though she's trying to look ugly.
I think one of my other snarks for this movie is I felt like we were promised more snow than we got. And like the opening credit is like beautiful snow cover
mountains,
and then you have the B-roll shots of like all of the town with like snow covered streets. But when we get to the street, what are they covered with? It's not really snow.
They were pushing real hard to get that snow to look like enough snow. Like they didn't have a budget to fully coat everything in snow. Or fake snow.
But it wasn't even the fact that it was the snow. It was covered in Christmas trees.
Yes. Oh my God.
Right. So it's like there was like pretend little snowbanks, but it was just like hundreds of Christmas trees lining the sidewalk.
There were 3 main places that we saw the Christmas trees. So one was inside of the little community center,
right,
where they had the kids camp. One was along the street in the town, and then was it at the hospital?
And at the hospital in the courtyard.
They were clearly the same
all
trees.
The same trees.
And so the inside is like almost like a little gym, like a mini gym or like a stage is on it, just like filled with just Christmas trees all over the floor.
So many Christmas trees.
And then they're walking downtown and it's just Christmas trees all down the sidewalk.
And that's actually probably one of my favorite moments of this film is, so she's walking down the street with these Christmas trees and these fake snowbanks, and she's dragging this like canned
wheelie bag.
Like wheelie bag that has all the canned goods for the food drive. And it's clearly getting hung up on these fake snowbanks and trees. And there's one where it's like it almost takes her down,
like it flies up in the air, and it's
and like you see her like almost
things.
like pull back. And I was like, oh, I wonder if she was just like, we've done this too many times. I'm
just
gonna
stop. Keep going. I'm just gonna keep going. Yeah, she didn't have enough room, and that was really kind of unnecessary for her to even have. Like, just have them walk down the street without the wheelie
or just
bag.
change the hands and it be like on the other side of her. It would have been fine. So anyway, that was an enjoyable moment because I was like, oh, they kept that in the film. She almost fell, but they
did their take, and it's staying. I guess. When they got to the end of the movie and they get to the actual party and we're having the reveal of the gingerbread house and the soldiers on the video chat and all of that, that's when we have it's not necessarily a snark, but it's the moment in the movie where I always get kind of irritated when we have the miscommunication. So he's talking to his friend about how he's planning to go back and to go to New York, but she only hears that part and doesn't hear that he's going to quit his job and then move there to build houses and be with her, basically. And so then when she sees Lucas next, she just says, I don't think we should do this anymore.
It was like
it gets Ellen's hopes up, and this miscommunication, misunderstanding thing that really could have been avoided. And it was creating like this little tiny bit of tension at the end, but it felt so just unnecessary.
It was like an argument over just like nothing, or not even an argument. She just shut him out.
Mm-hmm. And it was a 5-minute conflict at the 11th hour of the movie.
And what was so weird about it was like she was like next to a Christmas tree because there were so many,
and she like
hides. So Lucas is talking to his friend, his architect friend. The architect friend is looking towards the Christmas tree. She's there, and it cuts to him being like, who's at that Christmas tree? Like in his mind.
Who could that be?
And she's like ducking, but it's so obvious, and she's not hiding very well. And the friend just talks like no one has just accidentally hidden behind a tree. And I was like, this is odd.
Yeah.
This is odd. He's just like, oh, I guess it was nothing. Let's
nothing,
talk about you quit your job.
And then so she says that she can't be with him, but then he gives her tickets to Paris as a gift. As a Christmas gift.
He wraps his old ugly sweater up and gives it as a gift, and she like pulls it out, and these tickets fall to the floor, and they're to Paris. And it's not just one ticket, it is 2 tickets for her and her daughter to go. What the heck? That's not cheap. And also, he's
repaying her for her kindness.
But is he also assuming she's gonna like buy the rentals?
Right.
Like,
You're
how
really
inclusive is this?
Somebody into a pretty pricey expedition.
I mean, here's the thing. If someone got me random tickets to Paris, I would not complain about it. I would make that work.
We would figure out a way.
It's
like, well, since we got the plane tickets taken care of, I guess we're gonna get the Airbnb and
it's like, all right, maybe we can spend a little bit more now. But it just felt so extreme for how short of a time.
You knew her for like 5 days.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then she got him.
You know what? It was 2 weeks because it was December 15th was the last day of school, and then it was Christmas Eve.
Oh, well, then I guess Paris tickets are reasonable after 2 weeks. And then she got him this like coffee table book of architecture that no one can find. And just so you know, I did try and Google this. It doesn't exist because I was like, I wonder if they like trying to get like a real rare book or if they just made one up. And it seems like they made one up, which is the safer thing to do in a Hallmark movie.
Right.
So.
Again, his dad was featured in it, so that's why he was interested in it. So she had kind of pulled some extra strings at the antique bookstore and managed to get that for him, which I thought was really sweet. Yes. And that's why he turned the car around, because he realized like, oh, this is a meaningful Christmas gift.
But like that is an appropriate thank you gift. He's just throwing money around. She's throwing sentiment around. Now, not to say like she's always wanted to get to Paris, so there is sentiment there. But it was just flashy. I didn't like it. But
he did it for a good reason, that he was trying to get her connected to her art again. And because she put him up for 2 weeks in this house for free. So I guess he's trying to he was going to have to stay in a hotel or do something else. Though I'm a little confused as to why someone has to spend 2 weeks in town for a broken arm. Like they can't go anywhere. They're stuck and stranded for a broken arm.
And not even just the wrist.
Just the wrist.
Now, he had some screws in, and his doctor wanted to make sure it was healing okay, but it didn't explain why he was trapped.
Right.
So, again.
And the brother said that he couldn't stay at his house.
Because they had family.
Because they had family staying. Was that family there for 2 weeks, too?
I feel bad for them.
Seems just a little strange. But, you know.
I mean, I love our family. They can stay as long as they want.
But they don't arrive for Christmas on December 15th.
No.
They arrive on December 22nd or something, or December 20th. You know, there's a little bit of time in there. So maybe it was just they were preparing. Oh, that would only be 10 days, wouldn't it? If they arrived on the 15th and it was the 25th, that would be like 11.
We got to work on our Christmas math.
I was going all the way to the 30th in my mind. 10 days. 10 days.
And I just, because you are so much better at math, I just let you do it. So let's move into alternative Christmas title. Like, what do we think of this title for this movie? And is there a better title?
It is a dumb title.
It's too many words.
And it thinks it's being funny, and it's not. So my alternate title for this movie that I just made up just now is The Christmas Gingerbread Soldier.
Okay. That sounds like if I was going to watch that movie, that there would be a man made out of gingerbread who goes off to battle.
A gingerbread for Christmas. A gingerbread house for Christmas. The Christmas Gingerbread House. Soldiers on call.
Mine would be, it's either one of like Building Christmas, right? Because he's all about an architect, or Trapped for Christmas.
Trapped for Christmas. The Christmas Guest House.
Ooh.
Or I guess my other better movie would be something along the line. We had the Christmas Club last year, which was the one about the savings, the money. So this one could be the Christmas Camp, because it was all about the after
It really
school,
was
like
about the camp
for the kids. So.
And I think that's probably what it is. It felt like there was two competing storylines.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's,
The Christmas sweater was really a very artificially worked in part of it. So I think that's why I don't want that to be the title of it, because it just doesn't fit with what this movie is really about.
It's like the name gives an expectation. So,
and she did kiss the man in the Christmas sweater, and she never even fought it. She just did it. So like, what's that? She broke her own rule.
This movie is built on lies.
Christmas lies.
The best kind. So do you think that this love is going to last?
I do. And maybe, again, I can never tell if they're going to like get married and die old together. But I do think that, he was ready for love before. He was engaged, or he had a broken relationship. So he is ready to settle down. He's a little older. She's got a kid. She's divorced. She's clearly capable of a commitment. He was ready in a heartbeat to move there and switch careers and build houses and be in her little town. So I think they will have a happy little life together.
I think
his brother lives there.
I think that it will last, but I think flash forward a few years, his like little like home building company has taken off, and again he starts to pick work over family. And she said, I told you when we first met, I don't like playing number two. It's either us or this company, and they're going to be separated for just a little while. Mm-hmm. And he's going to come to his senses and come back to her and apologize. But I think they're going to last, but it's going to be rocky.
Mm-hmm. They're going to like the mountains that they're in.
Ooh, Rocky Christmas.
Rocky Mountain.
That would be that's the sequel, Rocky Christmas.
Da-na-na,
and it's just them through their separation. different Rocky. And then, so I think we've kind of indicated how we feel about this movie, but where does this fall in our rating system of what day of the year would you watch this movie, Tara?
I would watch this movie on November 7th.
Which is the day we watched it.
I think it's a very good run-of-the-mill early before Thanksgiving Christmas movie. So I don't have a problem with it being a Saturday night movie. It's a comedy, so that's kind of the right slot for it. It's not going to be a closer to the holidays one for me, but it's also not going to be a 2 a.m. while I sleep one, or a Christmas in July or anything like that. So
for me, this is the Monday before Thanksgiving, where it's like in that like packed week of Christmas movies that Hallmark typically does, because I'm not really invested yet, because like I'm still worried about like, oh, I've got to like figure out what I'm making when we're packing. I'm not off of work yet. So it's the Monday of the Thanksgiving run, because it's Ashley Williams. So you can't start the season off with it.
Right.
It's not a throwaway that goes into a different part of the year, but I think it just needs to kind of get buried in like a larger group of movies.
Right. It's definitely a on in the background kind of movie too.
So I give this 2.5 hearts out of 5 and 2 snarks out of 5.
Yeah, I give it 2 snarks out of 5 and maybe 3 hearts out of 5. Yeah.
All right. So on average, so we'll say 3 hearts and 2 snarks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
I've been Tara.
And I've been Austin.
Merry Christmas.
And happy holidays.